Issue 2, The View from Abroad.
What do you make of the notion that you're now a lame duck?
The one thing I'm pretty confident about, Jim, is I'm going to be busy for the next 2 years.
Busy? Perhaps yes, Mr. President, but respected? Perhaps not, especially on the world stage. It will be a diminished President Obama who heads to China next week for a forum on Asian-Pacific affairs, according to the foreign reaction to this week's midterm elections in the U.S. The Venerable Times of London called the balloting a, quote, humiliating defeat, unquote, for Mr. Obama, and an indication of his, quote, political impotence, unquote. In a derisory tone, China's state-controlled Global Times editorialized that Mr. Obama is full of, quote, empty rhetoric, unquote, and that, quote, U.S. society has grown tired of his banality, unquote. Spain's El País called the elections, quote, an authentic punishment, unquote. The Guardian's executive editor for opinion, Jonathan Friedland, says foreign observers will interpret the elections as the beginning of the end of the Obama presidency. Quote, the chancelleries of Europe and elsewhere will have more than half an eye on the results of Tuesday's midterm elections. They may not obsess over the details of Indiana's 2nd District or the turnout in Kentucky, but they will get the broad message. Put crudely, it is this: the Obama presidency is over. Start planning for the next one. Mr. Obama will become a thwarted leader, his hands tied by hostile majorities in both houses of Congress, unquote. Then there is the view from Asia, quote. Obama has become the incredible shrinking president. He's very much weakened by the midterm results, and that's going to diminish him in his foreign policy. Leaders in Asia will now view him as a lame duck.
Question, how much have the Democrats' losses in the midterm elections diminished President Obama's international stature? Tom.
It has been diminished because you see the quotes, but you also see the basic understanding that in international politics, perception drives reality, and the president is perceived as a weak leader around the world, whether that's fair or not, depending on our own particular views. And I think this is just going to reinforce that. And you see statements from the Russians, a prominent member of the Russian parliament, derision; from China, derision; from allies, concern, whether it's France on Iran or Sunni Arab monarchies talking behind the scenes. There is real concern about the damage that the president has suffered here.
I would point out that in a lot of these countries...
I'm finished. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Well, I would be interested to hear what...
I would point out that in a lot of these countries, their leaders are in worse shape than this president. And I don't think they're sitting around saying, oh, my God, he's lost the Senate. Right. They care that the economy is on an even keel. Everybody's still parking their money in this country. Right. And they care about foreign policy and issues. The president has been writing letters to the Ayatollah, trying to work a deal with Iran. He's got more trouble with his Congress than he has with any people around the world.
John, he's really got trouble.
What she said?
Yeah, but he's got real trouble.
She said because she's being derisive herself. Well, she says, how can you come to that conclusion simply because he lost the Senate? He's got real problems. He's lost the government.
He's got real problems dealing with the Russians in Ukraine. He's going to have real problems in Iraq and Syria, and he now has a Republican hawkish bloc in the U.S. Congress, which is going to try to force on him sanctions on Iran before or when this deal comes, and it's going to try to force him into a larger war, which I don't think he wants in Iraq and Syria.
Totally. That's what I said. He has more trouble with the Republican Congress than he has with people around the world. And I would point out that Ronald Reagan lost the Senate in 1986.
Yeah, but he came home with an international... I was with him at Hofty House in the second thing.
And he got things accomplished in those last 2 years, just as Bill Clinton did after losing in both houses in 94.
Reagan got a nuclear deal.
So this is not the end of the world.
I think if you had any ability to compare Bill Clinton's performance and Ronald Reagan's performance to this president, then you and I are talking about two different worlds. This man has lost the credibility that he once had. not only in this country, but around the world. His credibility around the world wasn't terribly good. But after this, he's going to be considerably diminished. He's going to have a very difficult time getting anything done.
Hold on, Eleanor. I want to get somebody else in. I want to get somebody else in here.
Bill Clinton was asked if he was irrelevant after losing the House and the Senate.
These
other presidents went through much the same thing.
Who's the winner?
The winner of this election?
Yeah.
I think the Republican hawks were winners. There's no doubt that...
Give me the name of one individual who is the winner and who's going to control the action.
Well, McConnell's...
McConnell's. Talk to me about McConnell.
Well, Mitch McConnell's got the whip hand. He's got to have 52, may have 54 United States senators. I think the Republicans do have a different agenda. There are some things they need Obama for. There are other things they can pass and send down there and let him veto. Let Obama become the obstructionist. But I think Eleanor is correct in this extent. Boehner's going to have real trouble if they're trying to do deals on trade deals and they're trying to do immigration reform. You're going to have real trouble in the Republican caucus.
Do you think O'Connell can deal with this president?
McConnell, I think he did very well when he was in the minority. He's got a lot better cards right now.
Biden and him had the deal.
Who?
Joe Biden and McConnell were able to work together, so it'll be interesting to see. They can work together if they want to. Do both sides want to?
Is McConnell the magic name in all of this?
He's got the whip hand.
Critical name, without question.
He's a critical name. Does he have the manner and the behavior and the knowledge of politics
and the charisma
and the way it works? Does he have the respect of his peers?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
He's a pro, and what we don't know is about John Boehner. The Tea Party caucus has been doubled, even though he has the largest portion of members since 1929.
Well, we've designed this question for you, Ellen. We've designed it for you, Ellen. Let me get it in here. Is President Obama a lame duck? Yes or no, Pat Buchanan?
Yes, he is.
That's obvious.
Eleanor Clift?
Yes.
That means yes? He's a lame duck?
Yes, of course.
I think he is, yes.
A lame duck.
Yeah. He's more than lame.
More than lame.
He certainly is a
cripple. Is he a dead duck?
No, he's not.
No, he's not a dead duck.
He's gonna get some things done, definitely.
Of course, the president is never without a certain influence, but he has lost such political traction, especially in Washington. It was never that high in Washington, anyhow, because he had no ability to develop the personal relationship that you need to be effective, particularly across the aisle.
The answer is crippled duck. Issue 3, goodbye, Blue Dog Democrats.
Goodbye to the Blue Dog Democrats. Hello to civil war inside the Democratic Party. The last white Southern Democratic congressman, John Barrow of Georgia, bit the dust in Tuesday's election. So did 19-term Democratic incumbent Nick Rahal of West Virginia. The so-called Blue Dog Democrats, that is, the centrist or conservative-leaning Democrats, numbered more than 50 members of the House back in 2009 when President Obama took office. They were heralded by the Washington Post as one of the most influential voting blocs in Congress. Today, centrist Democrats have all but vanished from both chambers, wiped out in the 2010 and 2014 midterm elections. Progressive, meaning liberal, Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren are who remain. This is a stark reversal of the trend set in the 1990s by the Democratic Leadership Council and the Clinton-Gore administration. Clinton and Gore tried to shift the Democratic Party to the political center after 2 presidential campaign losses to the GOP by liberal nominees Michael Dukakis and Walter Mondale. Under the Obama presidency, there has been a de facto purge of the Democratic Party's centrists.
Question: if Hillary Clinton decides to run for president, will she face a power struggle with the Democratic Party's liberal faction? Eleanor Clift.
Well, I think there might be some tension in the primaries, and I don't know who the candidate is. Perhaps Bernie Sanders, who's actually a socialist, who represents the state of Vermont, he might get in the race. There really doesn't seem to be a credible candidate representing the progressive point of view who seems to be willing to get in the primary with Hillary Clinton. And I think Hillary is smart enough that she is going to figure out the progressive economic vision that is going to put the party together. So I don't see a civil war in the Democratic Party at all. And where did all those blue dogs go? They went the same place where all the moderate Republicans in the Northeast used to go. Both parties have gone more to their right and left flanks.
The liberals are now in control of most of the offices. True or false?
Yeah, they don't have any conservative wing of the Democratic Party anymore. John, go from the South. You can go from North Carolina all the way around down to Louisiana, up to Arkansas. I don't believe there's a single white Democratic congressman at all. Every one of the Democrats.
That's a legacy to be proud of.
Does this complicate the landscape for Hillary?
Yes, it does in this sense. Hillary is much more a centrist liberal Democrat than her party is now, that has lost its conservative or centrist wing.
Yeah, but if you're looking at the electoral map, the Democrats are not going to win in the South. They have to count on the Southwest and New England and the two coasts. Still plenty of states there to get to the 270 electoral votes. But the loss in this election of Colorado and Iowa and to some extent North Carolina, those are bad signs for the Democrats, because those are states that Obama had in his coalition, and they look now a lot harder to hold on to.
If you were Hillary Clinton after these midterms, would you want to spend the next 2 years of your life running for the Democratic nomination?
Yes, absolutely.
You would?
She's got plenty of fight in her. There's nobody who understands better how to fight against Republicans and Republican extremism.
If she's
not
John,
going to
the
be out there
Democrats have
saying,
no
let's
one.
all,
They
let's
have
all
no
get
one.
This
together.
may motivate her to run?
She is up here, and there's no second tier or third tier
exactly right.
candidate.
Well, we
She,
don't
she
need
will
second
face
and third
pressure from
tier.
Elizabeth Warren, though. There is a growing populist element of the Democratic Party that is very liberal and is trying to exert pressure because they know that Hillary Clinton is basically the inevitable candidate, so there will be pressures.
Will this
And
make Hillary run all the harder?
Well, to
I
some
hope
extent.
You're
so.
describing.
You don't want to.
She's being pulled
Or
to
the
the
harder-
left, John.
You don't want to
she
take
just tries
anything
to
for
avoid
Hillary is a
granted.
fighter.
She was pulled to the left. Did you see that foolish statement? Corporations and businesses don't create jobs. She's trying to channel
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren.
That's-
Mort, let Mort in.
that's
Look,
left.
Hillary Clinton is A, she herself is a very shrewd politician, and B, the last time I checked, she has one of the smartest political advisors you could have at a very low cost. So let me just say this, okay? She's not going into this campaign to lose. If she goes in, she's going in to win. She can't win if she moves in the direction that is being suggested here to the left wing of the Democratic Party. She knows that as well as anybody, and so does her husband, okay?
That was the point of my
Yes.
question. Predictions, Pat.
Both the Paulites, Rand Paul's forces, and the McCainiacs have been enforced in the Congress of the United States, John, and this is in the Republican Party. They will be at war with each other on tougher sanctions on Iran and whether to go to war in Iraq and Syria.
The strong showing of the Republicans in the election will swell the ranks of presidential candidates. Scott Walker, Wisconsin governor, now looks likely to get in. John Kasich from Ohio may get in. Governor Christie did well re-electing Republican governors. He now looks like a sure thing. And I think Jeb Bush is also going to run. Going to be probably at least a dozen Republican candidates.
You think you can handle all this?
I'll be watching Hillary Clinton's listening tour, which will get underway early next year.
Just turn the dial to Hillary.
That's right.
Okay, Tom.
There'll be a major showdown in the coming months between new Republican Congress and President Obama over relieving sanctions on Iran in the event that he signs a nuclear deal, which he, I think, will.
Which way is it going to go, the debate?
I think the president will win it because he'll remove the sanctions executive
Which way
order.
should it go on merits?
I think Republicans in Congress.
On merits.
It depends on what the
I'm
deal
talking
is.
about the decision.
If the deal is a good deal, remove the sanctions. If it isn't, it isn't.
Well, assume it's a good deal.
Then remove the sanctions. But I don't think it will be a good deal.
Okay.
The collapse of oil prices has had a huge effect on the Russian economy and on the ability of our friend Mr. Putin to do a lot of things that he had hoped to do because their economy is really dependent upon oil revenues.
Fasten your seatbelts. I predict the Catalans will officially declare their independence from Spain in this Sunday's elections under the leadership of Carme Forcadell, the female president of the Catalan National Assembly. The group salutes U.S. veterans on Veterans Day. Bye-bye.